All right, see you in just a bit. Matt, thank you. Well, this morning, a warning from a local heart doctor about a social media post making the rounds here in Utah that claims to offer life-saving advice.
In reality, that advice could put your life in jeopardy. News specialist Shelby Lofton shows us where that post goes wrong.
A doctor I spoke with said most people would guess that breast cancer is the #1 killer of women, but it's actually heart disease. And he said distracting narratives that are circling online about heart attacks can keep us from addressing the real problems women face when it comes to their heart health. He debunked one social media post that's currently going viral.
You start to cough, and that will help save your life.
When you are alone and have a heart attack, what are you going to do then? That's the question asked in a widely circulated social media post. The post suggests coughing repeatedly and strongly, taking deep breaths in between. The idea is to keep blood flowing to the brain. But Intermountain Health cardiologist Blake Gardner is debunking this advice.
Something that's not been supported by the American Heart Association at all.
The American Heart Association says there's a reason the coughing method isn't taught in CPR courses. It's most important someone gets medical attention immediately.
If somebody's having a cardiac arrest, it's basically death and an extreme emergency where you need to be able to get them to professionals as soon as possible. And for those that are on the scene, really they need to be starting CPR.
People who think they're experiencing heart attack symptoms should also get help. But this can look different in men and women.
The traditional things that we think of are chest pain, chest heaviness, chest pressure, sometimes shortness of breath.
Dr. Gardner says women can also experience abdominal discomfort and back pain, among other warning signs. This holiday season, he's encouraging more conversation about their heart health.
As we're talking about gathering around the holidays, I think it's important for women and men, but women especially, to talk to their family about heart disease because it may run in their family.
It's the #1 killer in women and men by far. The American Heart Association says about 45% of women older than 20 have some form of cardiovascular disease. Dr. Gardner said knowing if heart disease runs in the family can save lives.
And if that's the case, they really should be getting in contact with a certified practitioner or physician that can help them identify what that risk is and try to mitigate it as much as possible to minimize any future problems.
And I asked Dr. Gardner what he thinks we should do if we believe that we're having a heart attack or showing symptoms. He says, first, #1, go ahead and call for help. But then he says if you have aspirin nearby, you can take that. He says it can help speed up the process of opening up the arteries. In Salt Lake City, Shelby Lofton, KSL 5 News.
Shelby, thanks so much. Residents in Huntsville now have access.
Coming up next on Live at 5.
Utah Senator-elect John Curtis is set to meet with one of President-elect Trump's more controversial nominees. What he's saying about it coming up.
Giant inflation stories and more by downloading the app today.
Utah Senator-elect John Curtis is getting ready to take office in just a few weeks here, replacing Mitt Romney. Even before he's sworn in, Curtis is busy vetting President-elect Donald Trump's cabinet nominees. News specialist Daniel Woodruff spoke with him about this process here in which he's quickly becoming a key player. Right, Daniel? Yeah, Mike, John Curtis is set to meet later this week with Trump's defense secretary nominee, Pete Hegseth. Now, Hegseth is a former Fox News host who has come under extra scrutiny recently over multiple allegations of sexual assault, heavy drinking, and financial mismanagement. Curtis acknowledged having some concerns about Hegseth and told me he plans to ask him about all of these allegations, but he tells me he has not decided yet how to vote one way or the other on Hegseth or on any of Trump's cabinet picks.
We want him to have the best people he can have. So if you want the president to succeed, and then you look at my role as saying, I'm here to help him get the best people. And if there's anything he missed in his process, we want to pick it up.
Curtis has been in Congress representing Utah for 7 years. He told me he voted with President Trump more than 90% of the time during his first term. And Curtis says he plans to support him again, but isn't afraid to push back when he needs to. Now, on those cabinet nominees, Curtis says he wants to wait for these FBI background checks on those individuals to be done and to hear committee testimony. He says all that information will help him decide how to vote on each one when he gets to the Senate. Daniel Woodruff, Live at 5. Daniel, thank you. Today, President-elect by the end of the month.
Utah's soon-to-be Senator John Curtis is getting ready to take office in just a few weeks. Before that happens, Curtis is quickly gaining a national profile as a difference-making vote for President-elect Trump's cabinet nominees. Curtis spoke exclusively with news specialist Daniel Woodruff about that process and about how he's getting ready. Daniel?
Yeah, Deanie, we followed John Curtis on a trip that he took for the day to eastern Utah. And while there, he talked with us about how he's getting ready for this new job and how he's approaching the highly watched nomination process for President-elect Trump's cabinet.
It's a busy day in the basin for John Curtis.
I haven't seen you for so long.
On a rare free day away from Washington, D.C.,
And how are you doing?
Curtis traveled to Duchesne and Uinta counties. He visited local leaders, talked with the media, and met with constituents. It's something he's enjoyed doing during his 7 years in Congress and plans to continue doing as the next U.S. Senator from Utah.
I think that's how I stay connected with people.
It's been a whirlwind few weeks since Curtis won the race to replace Mitt Romney in the Senate. Even though he's not sworn in yet, his work has already begun as he vets President-elect Donald Trump's cabinet nominees. Curtis has quickly become a key player in this process. He was reported to be one of several Republican senators who thwarted the nomination of former Congressman Matt Gaetz for Attorney General.
Matt Gaetz would not have been the right pick for President Trump.
Curtis says he never met with Gaetz before he withdrew from consideration, but the nomination troubled him.
I served with Matt. I think Matt's hardest votes would have been from those that he served with.
Curtis has met with other nominees, including Trump's pick for FBI Director Kash Patel. This week, Curtis is scheduled to meet with former Fox host and Defense Secretary nominee Pete Hegseth,
Which is going to be a very interesting meeting.
Curtis acknowledged having concerns about Hegseth, who's facing multiple allegations.
And they're serious. And so I will be asking him about those specifically.
Hegseth is accused, among other things, of sexual assault, heavy drinking, and financial mismanagement. Besides Hegseth, other Trump nominees have also attracted extra scrutiny, like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for Health and Human Services and Tulsi Gabbard for Director of National Intelligence.
Have you made up your mind on how you're going to vote one way or the other on those?
No, I think it's very important not to. And the reason why is there's a process that's unfolding.
But on social media, Curtis has been bombarded with comments like this one, telling him to support Trump's cabinet picks, and that if he doesn't, he's not representing Utah.
That's not the role of the Senate. And it's, by the way, it's not the constitutional role. These are the same people who would tell me you need to follow the Constitution.
Curtis says ultimately this nomination process helps the president.
I'm here to help him get the best people. And if there's anything he missed in his process, we want to pick it up.
Now, I asked Curtis as well about President-elect Donald Trump. Curtis says he voted most of the time with him during his first term, and he says he plans to support him before, but that he's not afraid to push back against him when he needs to. Curtis will be sworn in as the next senator from Utah, replacing Mitt Romney on January 3rd. Back to you.
Interesting insights, Daniel. Thank you. Ski patrol for Park City.